Welcome to From Bottles to the Boardroom, where we explore the blend of the best, the people, places, and possibilities of Southern California wine country. I'm your host, Connie Stouffer, and each episode we sit down with local leaders, innovators, and dreamers who are building business and community among the vines. Because here in SoCal wine country, business growth meets the good life, and every great conversation starts with a good pour. In this episode, we'll be talking to Katie Wilson, the founder of Serious Moonlight Consulting. She shares her insights on her journey from a corporate career at Google to running her own business in Temecula. We'll dive into her motivations for the transition, the advantages of living in Temecula, and the importance of community in business growth. Katie Wilson, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, so I'm going to just have you start by diving in and telling our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Katie Wilson. I run Serious Moonlight Consulting, which is a sales and marketing consulting for startups and businesses. And before that, my background is really in tech and retail. I was at Google for 15 years as a head of sales, largely working with retail clients and helping them get on board with all of Google's advertising products, and left about 4 years ago. And that's when I moved to Temecula and started my own business.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about that transition. What encouraged you and your family to move to Temecula? What was that like? Walk me through that decision process.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting story. So we were out in Borrego with my sister-in-law and her family, and we're driving back. And I had come to Temecula. I grew up in North County in Rancho Bernardo. So I had come up to Temecula for camping and doing some horse stuff when I was a kid, and remember driving through. So we decided to stop for lunch here at Oscar's, and we were just looking around saying what a beautiful town it was, started looking on Zillow and seeing the differences. At the time we were in LA. So we were always thinking about coming back down to Southern California, further down south, probably San Diego though. But when we were looking and comparing areas, Temecula kind of just stuck in our mind as a great place to live and definitely get more bang for your buck than you can in San Diego or LA.
For sure. Definitely. And I think definitely, so it was 4 years ago, you said, that you guys moved
Yeah.
out here? Yeah. Yeah. So I think even now it's still such a great value, but even 4 or 5 years ago, it was, we saw a big shift of lots of people moving to the region from coastal
Totally.
communities just to be able to have a house with a yard and room for their kids and all of that.
Yeah, and just drivable and easy. I think that was the hardest part of LA for us. Just driving all over to take my kids to activities. Like I remember going to like a 20-minute like toddler swim class, and it would take me 45 minutes to get there and 45 minutes to get home. So it wasn't a great use of time. And now it's like we have beautiful parks and community centers that I can use all the time. And it's so easy. Everything seems like it's 10 or 15 minutes away, ample parking, super safe. So yeah, it was a great decision for us.
Yeah, I'm so glad. And I think when my family and I moved here about the same time, it was almost 5 years ago, my husband had this idea in his head about like what Southern California was like. And he was like, oh, I don't want to spend my whole life in traffic, and I don't want to be dealing with trying to find parking. But that's really not the case here. There are
No.
very few places where you need to pay. I can't think of anywhere where you have to pay for parking
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You can choose to if you want to get like super close, but like there's free parking everywhere. It's not that hard to get it anywhere. And the city's always opening new parks and new facilities and
Yes.
all sorts of new things for families that are very accessible, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, and it's been great for us. And now we're still close enough to our family in San Diego where, we can drive down for the day and come back for the day if we want. Versus when we were in LA, we would have to spend the night. It'd be a big ordeal. And so it is a lot nicer now being close to family down there, and now making friends and folks here in Temecula in the Valley as well.
That's amazing. And now tell me a little bit about, so you guys moved here, but you were also transitioning from your
Yes.
corporate role to running your own business. So tell me what inspired your kind of entrepreneurial chapter.
Yeah, well, I had been at Google for a while, and I think for me, I'd never been someone who was saying I was going to work in corporate. My background was, I never got my MBA. I worked a little bit in the nonprofit sector in San Francisco, and then for an e-commerce startup. And then the opportunity at Google presented itself, and I ended up staying there because I loved it so much and it was great and afforded me a lot of opportunities. But I think at the same time, I was getting a little burnout on the schedule, especially with young kids, because I was working, from 8:30 to 6:30 every night in meetings back to back, barely any time to eat lunch or go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
and then, coming home and having to rush everything. And I just wanted something a little more flexibility. My husband had been consulting before as an engineer. So he had set up an LLC and I'd seen him do that process. And then he kind of flipped and went in-house. So we kind of switched places, and then I went the entrepreneurial route. And I really just wanted to try it out for a year or two to see how I liked it, see how I liked the flexibility of it, making my own hours, doing my own business development, seeing what kind of companies I could partner with. And I've loved it. I really have. I think it's an awesome way to get to work with a lot of different companies in a lot of different systems than I would have done at my current job. And then at Google, I saw a lot of companies grow. So I worked with e-commerce startups, D2C brands, things that were going from, 10 employees to thousands of employees to getting acquired. And so I really got to see the entrepreneurial journey and growth journey of a lot of businesses while at Google and learn from them. And then taking that and being able to apply it to folks now has been really useful. You don't kind of realize in your day-to-day how many different kinds of companies you're working with and what you're learning along the way until you leave.
Yeah, that's so true. I wonder if I didn't kind of talk to you about this before, but if you had some tidbits of advice that maybe that you didn't realize were going to be super helpful to you in your entrepreneurial journey when you were at Google, but you're not, now that you're in this role, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I learned that or exposed to that or knew to implement that when it's time for me to open my own business.
Yeah, I would say for me, I was lucky enough and probably, had the skills, but just didn't know it to be in sales. And so every day I'm working to broker partnerships, to help our customers grow, to talk to people and do deals. And I think that was a great training ground. And I always tell people, whatever company you're in, get in customer facing role or sales, because you're going to need that if you open your own business. Every day is selling, right? Every conversation you're having, every networking opportunity, it might not be that that person needs your services, but their friend might. They might be a part of another community or a board of another company that needs your services. Or you might be able to do a partnership. Maybe your complementary services that you could now run a service together about, or attend a networking event again in the future together. So every opportunity, to really talk to people and articulate what you do is important when you're running your own business, because no one's selling for you. And you can use AI, and I've seen it, we've all gotten those emails that are like, hey, set up a meeting with Katie, but it just looks so generic. And I find that in-person conversations, either introductions via, a warm introduction is what's going to go the furthest in terms of getting you business. So I would tell people, you will be selling a lot. If you're running your own business, you're selling yourself, you're selling your ideas, you're selling your company. So get very comfortable talking to people. And if you haven't done that in a previous job, just get comfortable doing it. And it's a skill and you can learn, but you have to really be able to put yourself out there.
For sure. And I know everybody gets these, especially if they're on LinkedIn. I don't know how many generic email
Yes.
messages I get on LinkedIn about hey, maybe you need X, Y, or Z service. And I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But the ones that I get introduced to from people that I actually know are 1,000% more valuable. And so I think
Yeah.
you're totally right. Being able to forge those partnerships and collaborations and articulate what you do so that people who know you can articulate what you do to people they run across
Yes.
that might need your service or be able to partner with you.
Yeah, and you can't be shy about it. I think just realizing that it's authentic, making it authentically yours too. I think people think of sales and they think of used car salesman or something sketchy. But if you're selling something that's of actual use to people, the first conversation should just be understanding what that person needs. When you talk to that person, understanding what kind of business they have, again, maybe there's a complimentary thing there. Maybe it's just oh, hey, I invite you to come on my podcast. Oh, you could do a training for my group about Google. Great, sure. So I think understanding what you could offer that person you're talking to, and not everyone is a sales opportunity, of course. But when there is something that matches what you do, can you nicely transition into that and offer a good follow up? And then maybe it's a warm intro and then it leads to a call for you. But I think understanding that that process and getting really good at it is something I see a lot of entrepreneurs and startup. Like I work with a lot of technical founders where they're highly proficient in engineering or product development, but they're not as comfortable talking to people or articulating what their product does in a non-technical way. So I work with a lot of folks on coaching around that and helping them sell their ideas because I think that's a big unlock once you feel a little more comfortable. You're going to have to be on stages, pitching your product. If you're in tech, you're going to have to go to some networking events. You're going to have to talk about what you do. So the more comfortable you can get doing that, the more successful you'll be.
1,000%. And that leads me kind of into my next question about, a lot of entrepreneurs, work out of their homes or they kind of are out there in the community or you probably already had a lot of network connections. But tell me a little bit about what it's been like being part of the Temecula business community. Tell me what that part has been like for you, kind of getting to know people in the region.
Yeah, yeah. My husband and I both work from home, which is one of the reasons when we moved here, we're like, oh, we can both have it. We have offices back to back, and we'll be on calls at the same time. But I think I've tried to plug into the Temecula community to understand, like, oh, what other kinds of businesses are out here. So I know the entrepreneurial center that you guys run, that's been great. I came across that in a couple ways. So when I moved here, I was just looking for, what is the local business community, even for Riverside County, like what's available. And I came across the Thrive Grant, which is a great program. In the first year you start your business, you go through, business training. There's Zooms you join. They're very useful and informative. And then you get paired up with a coach. And again, this is all free. You get paired up with a coach, you go over your business plan, you talk with them, and then you get a grant from the Riverside and the county, as well as the city, to start your business. So I heard about this. I looked at it online. I was interested, and then I learned about the local center we had here in Temecula and have volunteered to do a couple sessions there about, getting your business online with Google and different Google tools, which has been great. And so I've met people through that. And then I've also done some like women networking events in Old Town, or I just went to one run by Beauty Boost. They're like a group of women in wellness. My friend was speaking at that, so I went and saw her, and that was great. So I think anytime I can do that in-person networking here, I love to see the kind of businesses people have founded and what they're building.
Yeah, it's amazing. And for those listeners who maybe aren't familiar, the TVE2, the Temecula Valley Entrepreneurs Exchange, is a wonderful facility that's run by the city of Temecula, and it has an incubator on the ground floor. And then the second floor is a partnership of several organizations that help to do trainings, entrepreneurial programs. There's a Veterans Resource Center up there, lots of opportunities. And I always try to tell entrepreneurs, you don't have to go it alone. There are free programs and resources out there that are meant to help you. So like you were mentioning before, those founders who are very technically savvy in whatever their field is, they may be very good at the engineering part of it, but the bookkeeping part is their weak spot, or the marketing part is their weak spot, or knowing where to get lending and things like that. And all those resources are available here in the community and are free. And there's other resources to connect into. So I'm glad you found that and have been able to connect, and it's been so useful.
Yeah, it's a great, great center. I definitely recommend it for folks that are looking for even co-working. I think you guys have spaces for people looking to drop in or host a training or something for their business. And then I've also tried to plug into local or semi-local tech incubators. So I'm a mentor with Techstars, which is based out of LA. So I can do a lot of that coaching, remote, where I might do like mentor hours, but then I might go in person to see them do their final pitch. But again, LA is a short drive from here. So for me, I can do that in a day trip. I've also been involved with a group called G Beta Generator, and that's trying to bring incubators and more resources and funding and coaching to not the main metros. So they actually have one in Moreno Valley and different places. And I was also recommending him to look at the center in Temecula, because they'll go to kind of the city-run centers and host different incubators for startup founders. The one right now I believe is veterans. They've done one before for different kinds of startup founders. So yeah, definitely good to look within your local community of where you can mentor to and offer advice. And then sometimes that will turn into paid opportunities. Usually that's a great place for people to meet with me to do like that free, like 15 or 20 minutes sit down with them during like a mentor meetup. And then later, if people want to work with me for more long term, I've had things like that turn into opportunities to then partner with a client. So it's great for, everyone involved.
Yeah, so many opportunities. And I think sometimes people don't realize what's out there until they actually get out there and start talking to people, and then they connect them to other resources and opportunities. So I'm glad that you found the community to be so welcoming and connective. And because I really find that it is, I think people here are really kind and want
Yeah,
all the businesses in the community to be successful and support each other.
absolutely.
Yeah. I wonder about your family. Like, how is your
Yeah.
kids, your husband, how are they liking the area and all of that?
They love it. I think, opportunity, like you said, to just have more space. My kids were youngish when we moved. My daughter was in third grade and my son was still in preschool. And so now they're in middle school and elementary school. So, they've made friends now over the years and have their activities they're involved in. But I think, just the opportunities for them, like there's so many activities from sports facilities. My son plays soccer, so he's played at, everywhere from, the Ronald Reagan fields down to Harveston, like lots of great, opportunities for sports and leagues and like just rec leagues too. Doesn't have to like be a large commitment for kids, but there's a lot of stuff available. And then my daughter's really into theater, and so she's loved the community down here. So many great theater groups. She's in All That Jazz, which is a great group in Temecula, and she's done shows through the Old Town Theater, which is an amazing theater that we have right in downtown. So it's been great. I think they've both been able to kind of pursue and find things that they like. And like I said before, it's been easy to kind of discover those opportunities. And then especially in the summer, like I was saying before, for swim lessons, my kids have been doing the swim lessons through the city. It's super affordable for 2 weeks. Like I've definitely been making them do that since we moved here because it's important to be a strong swimmer. And, I think the city makes things really affordable too, whether it be camps or activities for the kids.
100%. My son is 8 and also doing lots of camps. We've always done ones through the city, and they are high quality. The staff
Yes.
is always amazing, and it is really affordable. He's doing flag football this week, and we're also doing swim lessons. Loves his swim instructor.
Yeah.
So nice. And then they have all sorts of other ones too. Like a couple years ago, he did like a STEM rocket building course,
Yeah.
which was super cool. And that's one of the things we've loved about living here. I'm sure it's true. Like we moved from Idaho, and so it was a big shift for us coming down here because there's literally anything you want to be able to do that your kids are interested in. There is some club or program or camp or league to do everything from like building robots to playing sports to theater and the arts and things like that. You really have access to like just about anything you want to do.
Yeah, yeah, and the facilities are so great. So yeah, my son will start camp at Ronald Reagan next week, and there's a great community center there, the big pool. They go on field trips and stuff. So that's more like traditional summer camp. He's in like the Lego camps and stuff at
Hmm.
different places. So yeah, it's great. Like I think you can always find something for your kids around here. And then the fact that we have like the suburban like areas and rec centers, but we're also a rural area. So you can drive into a wine country and other places and do horseback riding.
Hmm.
There's kids in my daughter's school who compete in horseback riding or rodeo and other things that, are super unique to here. So I think it's a great like cross section of activities that they can do.
100%. Yeah, I really can't. Like, there's very few things I could think of that like we don't have access. We're
Yeah.
even getting like Elsinore is getting an ice skating rink. Like, there's like
Yeah. That's
so many
awesome.
things. Like, that was the only thing I was like, well, we don't have ice skating, but we're about to have ice skating. So
But we
there's,
always go in this winter to Peltzer. So yeah, like
yeah.
I'm like, oh, we do have ice skating just like down the street from us. So yeah, it's been great. I think we've really enjoyed that. And the proximity that we're like on the edge of wine country. So, you know, you can have, all the suburban things that you want, but then I'm also, a couple blocks away from, 30, 40 wineries, and to drive through that is so beautiful and looks different than, your regular town. And it's nice to get into nature or go hiking or, do some other things, ride bikes around there. So it's been great to have the variety of like choice of things to do.
100%. So is your husband from North County, San Diego as
He's
well, or
from he's
LA?
from the city of San Diego, so he's from Point Loma actually.
Oh, okay.
So his family, we're all spread out. We have got folks in Coronado, Santee, Point Loma, Rancho Bernardo. So they're all spread out amongst San Diego, and we're the like most northern ones up here.
The pioneers blazing new trails.
Yes. Well, we were up in San Francisco, so we've slowly made our way back, we always say, and now we're kind of we like it here, we want to stay. But I do think like the proximity also for work, like we both have to sometimes fly to visit clients or his company will have offsites several times a year. And it's nice to be close to, we're close to the Ontario airport, which is such an easy, nice airport to fly out of. San Diego, Orange County, we can drive to Palm Springs. I've been to Palm Springs for work events and conventions, and I can just drive in a day if I wanted to. It's a bit of a long day, but but you can do it,
It can be done,
So
yeah.
yeah, it can be done. So I like that we're so central to like a lot of these other hubs too, whether it be for work or, for entertainment or things you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think maybe people's first thought is like, oh, I need to fly into LAX. But San Diego is just, is easier. And then Ontario is like a delight.
I think
if I
it's
can
like
fly out
the
of Ontario,
best
that's where.
kept secret. I always check Ontario first when I have to
Yes,
fly for whatever I'm doing.
same.
Because the parking is so cheap. It's like one of the airports you just walk in. It's like, okay, great.
I know. And the parking's like literally right across the
Right
street.
there.
You have to take a shuttle. You can just like, it's there. And there's like 3 luggage things. And then
Yeah.
it's a delight. I am always happy to fly out of Ontario. So yeah.
Yeah, me too.
That's amazing. So what do you guys like to do? I mean, it sounds like your kids are in sports and extracurriculars, but like,
Yeah.
what do you guys like to do when you're not working, when you're not doing sports? What are some of the things you like to do in the region?
Yeah, so my husband and I are both really into music, and I sing with the Southwest Women's Chorus, which is a local women's chorus of about 70 members of women of all ages. And we do 2 seasons a year, one in the fall that is kind of like the holiday season, and one in the spring. And we'll sing at the Old Town Theater, a variety of wineries around the region, and do shows. So that's really fun, and that's been a great way for me to meet. And I haven't sang since college, so it was a great way for me to meet other women and connect with local folks. So definitely plugging that. We'll have auditions in August if people are interested. Check out
fun.
Southwest Women's Chorus. And my husband is a musician too. Like in his spare time, he plays upright bass in a couple rockabilly bands and country bands. And so it's so funny because when we were in LA, he was playing with bands, but it's actually been easier, and he's gotten more bookings, booking with more bands playing here because there's a lot of country and rockabilly in San Diego, Orange County. Even if he's played a lot of the local wineries, and because he's in the area, if folks need a bass player or whatever, and he'll fill in. So it's been really cool to kind of get to still explore what we like to do for music. And then like if it's just me and my husband, we'll do a lot of date nights at the local wineries or restaurants. We love to explore that. It's always fun to kind of try a new place and see a new winery when we don't have the kids. And then there's a lot of family friendly ones too. So we go out there with the kids a lot too.
Yeah, there are a lot of family friendly ones, which is nice. And I was going to say, because you guys are into music, the wineries, a lot of wineries have live music happening all of the
Yeah.
time, right? There's lots of opportunities either to go see live music or to be the entertainment, if that's
Yeah,
your thing, which is
absolutely.
really
And
cool.
it's super fun to go, with friends and just, get to see like even if it's just like a nice like little quiet, singer-songwriter or full on bands like a lot of the places, we've been to concerts at Somerset. My husband's played there a bunch of times, and they have a series of summer concerts. I know Wilson does too.
Hmm.
And I'm blanking on the other big
I
one
think
down there
South
that
Coast has
South
some
Coast.
music.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
South Coast is great. So and then those get like, pretty big acts in the summer. So it's always fun to, go just a stone's throw from our house to get to drive down and see something. And I know Thornton does a lot of jazz there too at night. So it's very cool. I feel like there's always something to do locally. And then Pachanga, the casino here too, gets a lot of shows and fun things. So that's always fun for an adult date night.
Yeah, exactly. And the city, I haven't tried it yet, but the city actually has like date night camps that I
Oh,
was going to try. They have one later in the summer, I think, where they do like the kids do like a cooking class, or they have like a craft and movie night sort of thing. And it's like from 6 to 9 or something, so that like parents can have a night to go do date night. And it was like
nice.
$39 or
Oh,
something. And
that's
I'm like,
great.
that's it. They're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. And go out, and then they'll, hang out with their friends and watch movies and do a cooking class. That sounds fun.
Yeah, yeah, and we can always walk around Old Town. I think like that's always fun to check out. Like, I feel like there's new stuff coming all the time, either new restaurants or shops. And so it's always fun to like walk around there and take visitors too. I think it's nice to have kind of a central place to like be like, oh yeah, we'll go walk around, go shopping, or because not everyone wants to do the wineries. So I
Mhm.
found like it's nice to either, to do Old Town one day and then like the wineries one day for folks that are
Yeah,
visiting.
for sure. So usually on the show, I ask people to share like their top 3 favorite places.
Mm.
So it could be a winery, it could be a hike, it could be anything that if you're going to say, like, if you're coming to Temecula or the region for the first time, what are 3 places that people should make sure they check out?
All right. I'm going to go with Vail Ranch headquarters
Mm-hmm.
as one of mine because that's a great place we like to take visitors and our kids. Your kids can run around and play, but there's like a big, grass field and it's a historic stagecoach stop. So there's actually this cute little museum and sometimes they have the little train running and farmers market. Great for kids. And then for adults, there's excellent food stalls there and all different vendors. They often do like night markets and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. There's also a winery there, Marshall Stewart, that's great. And you can sit around and have a bottle of wine and listen to great music there, grab pizza. So it's like there's something for everyone. And that's like a very like easy place. We'll take people for lunch or like, easy to and accessible and great parking.
Yeah.
So that's a good one for us as a family. We love to go to Vail Ranch. I think Peltzer, we like Peltzer as a winery, super fun with kids, especially our favorite seasons are in the fall and Christmas time at Peltzer. They'll have a pumpkin patch. They'll also have like little rides and trains and activities for kids. And then they have an ice skating rink in the winter. So we love to go there for ice skating. They'll do movie nights and things like that. So that's another like favorite of ours where we're, always bringing people there. And then in terms of like, let me think. Well, for restaurants, we love a lot of places, but I'll say like Goat and Vine
Mm-hmm.
downtown is great. Pizza, like wood fire pizza, delicious. They also have a new coffee shop called Little Goat that's out off of Winchester.
I haven't
That's
tried that yet, but it's
Oh
on
my
my
gosh,
list.
so
Yeah.
it's my favorite. Yeah, it's so good. So sometimes my kids and we've done a bike ride from our house all the way over there just to like go there because it's a fun little ride, and they just repaved that added a bike lane that goes up that street over there. So it's been awesome to check that out when new places open. So those are a few of our faves.
Those are all great ones. I 100% agree with Vail HQ, the ranch down
Yeah.
there. And it's so neat how it's like kind of tucked in there in like the shopping, but it's still like preserved the historic nature
Yeah.
of it. And it is true, like if your kids were only going to eat pizza that day, there's pizza, or they can get, fries or burgers or whatever, but you're in the mood for something completely different. You can, and you guys can all walk around and the kids can play, and there's usually like music or bounce houses or something going on. There's that little craft house place there for kids to do like
Yeah,
paints
yeah.
so lots of fun things to do just to go hang out there for the day. We ride our bikes
Totally.
down there a lot, and we'll get a coffee there at the press, or we'll go,
Press. Yeah.
yeah, get a glass of wine at Marshall Stewart, and it's just a great place to hang. And Peltzer's also very great. We need to do the ice skating again. We did that a couple of years ago, but my son was like 5, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
And he was dangerous on his skates, man. I was pushing
No.
those little things, and he was in front of me, and I thought my feet were going to get chopped off because
It
his legs
gets
were.
easier as they get older. Yeah, yeah. Now my kids love it. My daughter actually really didn't like ice skating for a long time. I grew up in a lot of different places because I traveled or moved a little bit as a kid. And so I lived in Montana as a kid. And so ice skating was like one of the only activities there. So I learned to ice skate when I was like 4. So I still love ice skating. But my daughter didn't like it for a while, but now she's gotten on board. My son always was like ready to give it a go. But yeah, it is a little hard because, the kids think that they can do a lot of laps when they're that young, and you get around one lap and then they're like, okay, I'm ready for some hot cocoa.
And you're like, yeah, okay. And
Okay,
I'll get.
me
They have
too.
like the the wine slushies there.
Yeah,
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 which
yeah.
are, and they always do like seasonal flavors, which I'm a big fan of. So you're like, well, we're done. I'm gonna go get a wine. You're gonna get a hot chocolate. We're all
Go
having a
hang
great
out.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. So we'll take a lot of visitors there because, it's a fun place, especially during the holidays. Like it's very festive and decorated and stuff.
hmm Yeah, it's a beautiful spot. So many, and there's so many to explore. I need to, and I feel like it's hard because I want to go try every place, but there's always new places to try. Like I'm like, I haven't even
Yeah.
made it through the list yet, and there's new places popping up that I need to go try and check out.
Yeah, we just went to there's a new sushi place, Taboo, down in Old Town. And then they have a little speakeasy in there that's like a Japanese themed speakeasy. So we went during the day and watched my husband and I, my kids were both in camp together. Yay. So we had a little date night and we watched the World Cup. They had a huge screen going of the World Cup and it was super fun just to like go for happy hour. So that's definitely, I didn't get to go to the speakeasy. So that'll be definitely somewhere I'll go back and take people for sure.
My friend tried to go to the speakeasy. It was like the first weekend they opened, and there was a huge
Yeah,
long
yeah.
line to get in. But it looks super cool. Like I've seen the videos. It looks
Me
really cool.
too.
So it's
Yeah.
definitely on my list the next time we have a chance to
Yeah,
get to.
and we have a couple speakeasies here in town and in wine country for folks to check out with
Yeah, I've been
visitors.
to Thompson and Twain,
Yeah, it's
in
cool.
Crush and Brew. Are there some in, well,
There's
there's one in,
Europa usually does one in the cave there that changes out seasonally. So for like the holidays, it was like a holiday themed
mhm.
one. I think now it might be like a spring. It was a spring one. I don't know what it is now, but they have like a little room downstairs and you can make reservations on Open Table. And then Oak Mountain kind of has the distillery thing that's
Yes.
a little bit of like a speakeasy too that looks like an old kind of like timey thing and it's really
I've
cool to check
been in
out.
there and there's like a big tree, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, there's
it's
a
really
big
cool.
tree and then there's like an old distilling machine that's like all like the gears and stuff. It's pretty cool to check out.
Yeah, so many neat places to check out, regardless, like if you're into wine or not. If you're not, there's plenty of speakeasies and distilleries and breweries.
Yeah,
And
and I always
so,
tell people like every pretty much almost every winery here will have beer, will have non-alcoholic
mhm.
options. A lot of them are having like cute mocktails and things too. So like even if you know, don't like to drink wine or don't drink at all, like there's options to go and have fun and a lot of them have food too. So it's more just about being outside and hanging out with folks.
Yeah, 100%. I want to close out and just see, like, if you had for the entrepreneurs that are listening, because I think Temecula and the region has a growing entrepreneurial
Yeah.
community. What are some suggestions that you would give to them if they're starting out on their business journey? Like, what would be some top tips you'd like to give them?
Yeah, absolutely. And my background is sales and go to market, so I'll kind of focus on that. Like I said before, getting your elevator pitch down. If you are in a highly technical field or technical product, making it in like plain speak, understandable, non-jargon that people can understand. Like, what is your quick like 2 or 3 minute about what you do, so that people can understand or where they can connect you with other people. When you're thinking about your go to market and like establishing your footprint online, like having a good website, getting on Google My Business, really simple and easy to set up to make your business listing there, and maintain that. A lot of the building blocks I would say to like go to market is just getting yourself out there, and it could be on social media, it could be on LinkedIn, depending what your business is. But it doesn't have to. I think initially people jump to like paid ads, like, oh, I need to do advertising, I need to do this, this, and this. And that's usually not the case. It's like kind of build those pillars first about like know what you do, know what problem you're solving, have a good like digital presence or a physical presence, obviously, of a store or other things like that, and then build upon that, because you don't want to be paying money and directing people to a bad website, for instance. You don't want to be paying money if you can't handle the volume of customers, right? So understanding first kind of like what's your base of your business before you add on paid ads. And my background is in paid ads. I did that a lot. It's not to say it doesn't work. It can be very effective, but I think don't jump right to advertising or like paid promotion yet until you have like a really good base of understanding of what you do.
I think that's really solid advice. I think I know that probably entrepreneurs have a similar mindset where they're just like they want to get to the next step as fast as possible, and sometimes it's you get there quicker by going steady instead of trying to jump.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to give like real world context, some of my biggest clients have been from LinkedIn cold outreach. Like they had known me through someone else and saw what I do and wanted to work with me, or networking in person events, partnerships with other people bringing me in. So I think like it doesn't have to be like in a paid channel. It doesn't have to come in through an ad. Sometimes depending on what kind of business you run, a lot of that we were talking about earlier, that like word of mouth, building like a real network for yourself, can pay off quite a bit. And then having that strong presence where people can see what you do from your website or your LinkedIn profile and then reach out to you, that can bring really good organic leads to you without having to do, like we said, you don't need to pay a company to like do a million AI outreach emails for you.
100%. And if people listening or want to reach out to you and learn more about how they can work with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn at Katie Wilson, and my company is called Serious Moonlight Consulting at seriousmoonlightconsulting.co, or you can also find Serious Moonlight Consulting on Instagram and follow me. And then I co-host a podcast called Bot Boundaries, and that's about what it means to be human in the age of AI. And I host that with my co-host Jackie Gutierrez, who's also in the tech space. But we try to make it a very approachable view of AI and tech. We talk about pop culture and other fun things too. So it's a nice mix of like tech news, but also like relevant things to business. And so you can find Bot Boundaries across all podcast platforms.
Amazing. Wonderful. Well, Katie, thank you so much for being on the show today and for sharing so
Yeah.
much. And I really appreciate you bringing your business to Temecula and sharing so much about the region and being a guest on the show.
Yeah, it was so great. We love it here. So always great to talk about living and working in Temecula.
Thank you so much. That's it for today's episode of Bottles to the Boardroom. If you enjoyed this conversation, follow the show, leave a review, and share it with someone building something bold or someone who simply appreciates a great story paired with a great glass of wine. I'm Connie Stouffer, and I'll see you next time in Southern California wine country, where business growth meets the good life, and every great idea starts with a good pour.